The Eternal Colossus: How Rome Engineered the Ancient World. Close your eyes and imagine standing on a desolate moor in northern England in the year 120 AD. The wind bites and a cold rain falls. Yet, beneath your sandals is a paved road, straight as an arrow, built on a foundation 3 feet deep. A legionary marches past, his armor clinking. He is 1,500 miles from his home in sunny Italy, yet he is walking on Roman stone, enforcing Roman law, and being paid in Roman silver denarii. At the same moment, another man is sitting in the shade of a palm tree in Alexandria, Egypt, watching grain ships load up for the journey across the Mediterranean. He, too, is living under the same system. This was the terrifying genius of the Roman Empire. It wasn't just a collection of conquered lands, it was a superorganism that swallowed the Mediterranean whole, digesting disparate cultures and turning them into a single, interconnected entity. For centuries, Rome was the operating system of the known world. The anatomy of a superpower. To understand Rome at its zenith, roughly the first 2 centuries AD, a period known as the Pax Romana, Roman peace, you must look past the marble statues and see the machinery. Rome was the ancient world's first true multinational corporation. Its business was order, and its currency was violence, tempered by opportunity. The genius of the Roman approach was the carrot and stick on a continental scale. The stick was the legions, the most disciplined killing machines the world had ever seen. But the carrot was far more potent: assimilation. Unlike other empires that simply looted conquered territories, Rome offered a path to belonging. If a local elite in Gaul, modern France, adopted Roman dress, learned Latin, and paid taxes, they could eventually become Roman citizens, gaining legal protections and status. Vivid analogy: think of the Roman Empire like the Borg from Star Trek, but with better architecture. They absorbed distinct cultures, Greek philosophy, Egyptian religion, Gallic ferocity, and standardized them. Resistance was futile, but assimilation came with indoor plumbing and aqueducts. Peak population, estimated between 60 and 70 million people, roughly 20% of the world's population at the time. The megalopolis, the city of Rome, was the first in history to reach 1 million inhabitants. It wouldn't be matched in the West until London in the 19th century. Lifespan: the empire in the West lasted roughly 500 years. The eastern half, Byzantium, survived another 1,000. The network: at its height, the empire maintained over 50,000 miles of paved roads. The first World Wide Web. If assimilation was the software of the empire, engineering was the hardware. The phrase, "all roads lead to Rome," wasn't just a metaphor, it was a literal description of the imperial infrastructure. These roads were the ancient internet, a high-speed network designed to move information, troops, and trade goods with unprecedented speed. A message could travel from the Rhine frontier to Rome in roughly a week, a velocity of information that wouldn't be surpassed until the invention of the telegraph. Furthermore, Roman hydraulic engineering, aqueducts, sewers, and bath complexes weren't just amenities, they were statements of dominance over nature itself. By piping clean water into cities and washing filth out, Rome allowed urban populations to grow to densities previously impossible without collapsing into disease-ridden squalor. The myth. The reality. Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Fiddles didn't exist yet. Nero was likely not even in the city when the Great Fire of 64 AD started, though he certainly used the cleared land to build his massive Golden House. Gladiators always fought to the death. Training gladiators was expensive. Referees oversaw matches, and many fights ended in surrender to spare valuable investment. Vomitoriums were rooms used for vomiting after feasting. A vomitorium was simply the architectural term for the wide corridors that spewed crowds out of amphitheaters quickly. Export to sheets. The urban pressure cooker. Nowhere was the Roman experiment more visceral than in the capital itself. Rome was a sensory overload, a sprawling cacophony of supreme wealth and abject poverty. Imagine Manhattan, but without zoning laws or electricity. Senators lived in sprawling marble palaces on the Palatine Hill, while the vast majority of the population was crammed into insulated, rickety, six-story apartment tenement blocks that frequently collapsed or caught fire. The city was a pressure cooker of humanity. To keep the lid on, the emperors provided the famous panem et circenses, bread and circuses. State-subsidized grain kept the masses fed, while the Colosseum provided gruesome distraction. The sheer scale of the Colosseum, which could hold 50,000 spectators, wasn't just for entertainment. It was a political tool designed to demonstrate the emperor's power over life and death, human and beast alike. The long fade. We often think of Rome falling in a single, catastrophic event, like a sack by barbarians. The reality is more complex and more poignant. By the 4th and 5th centuries AD, the system grew too complex to maintain. The bureaucracy bloated, the economy buckled under taxation to pay the army, and external pressures mounted along thousands of miles of border. The Western Empire didn't crash, it dissolved. Local warlords replaced Roman governors. Aqueducts fell into disrepair. The roads grew unsafe. Yet, Rome never truly died. Its DNA is embedded in the modern Western world. If you speak Spanish, French, Italian, or Portuguese, you are speaking a dialect of modern Latin. If you walk into a government building in Washington, D.C., you are surrounded by neoclassical Roman architecture. Our concepts of civil law, republican governance, and even the calendar we use are inherently Roman. Rome taught the world that it was possible to build a civilization that transcended tribe and geography, a lesson we are still learning today. When visiting Roman sites, don't just stare at the temples. Look for the graffiti scratched into walls at Pompeii. It's surprisingly relatable, mostly complaints about bosses or declarations of love. Look at the lead pipes that brought water to private homes. The true scale of Rome is found in the everyday details of how they lived.